Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. Welcome those who just arrived and are new to the channel. Spirit Does Fashion here, and today I've got some Voruna Prime fashions for you. Now these will revolve around between whether you like to use two-legged or you like the focus on the four-legged. Let's get into the video. Okay, starting out, this is a fashion from a previous design. I just wanted to copy it over and possibly alter it, make it look better, and I think I've managed that here. This is of course Loona from Hell of a Boss. Now for this you will need the Voruna Prime helmet followed by the Demiona skin. I would recommend adding those before you change the colours. The Noble is up to you. As per the colours, you want to head to the primary colours of smoke, using that grey, two whites and a slightly darker version of the grey used in the primary. For the emissive, use red and the energy, black and red. As you know, she's a denizen of hell, and she, well, thanks to the new series, we now have her able to transform to four-legged. The chest plate I've used is the Fendar X, personal favourite of mine now, with the Lamasu armour shoulders to make her look like she's got a bit more fluff on there. For the legs, I've used the halter. Now you could probably use something else, like say the Zyrax. The Zyrax looks pretty good. But I just wanted to get more black on her because, well, she has black tights when you look at her. And for the ephemera, I used the Akuri Prime tail. Now, unfortunately, you can't mix colours with this one. So I've made a light grey on the energy and a dark and a black for the second one. Now, you will need to use a former for that. For the Signa, I have used the flanker. Now to get this tail effect and to make it look a bit more visory for like a mech, you want to go down to the lowest digits of 0. Followed with now the colours, you want to use this grey for the chest plate. For the secondary, I would recommend this grey because you kind of want it to reflect her the fur. For the tertiary and accents, just use black. For the emissives, use white and red, and the energy, grey and black, to make the tail look like that, shifting between grey and white. For the Syandana, now this is completely up to you. I used the Aspirin Syandana with the energy black to get rid of the symbol. In my opinion, I don't know why I added. I thought it just looked pretty nice, because when you position two weapons just fine, it comes out looking like that, and that's quite nice to look at. Anyway, let's move to go with it. By the way, I would recommend using Grimoire just to get the extra, well, you want it to look like Stolas's Grimoire, so there you go. Next up is my Wild Force fashion of Power Rangers Zenaku. Now this guy was pretty upsetting to the Power Rangers. He was just outright bad. He not only defeated them in battle but stole their Megazords and corrupted them to use them in his own means. It was only until after he was defeated that they were returned. For this you will need just the base Voruna Prime helmet. For the skin, the Kuveil Dracanis. Now that is a 10er gen, so if you're on PC you will need to buy it with real cash. I'm on PlayStation, so I don't need to. For the animation set, I've used the Mesa Noble. For the primary, use like this sort of black. You don't want to go full black because it will just look, well, you won't be able to really see everything properly. For the secondary, use a slightly lighter version of black, followed by a light grey of this one here to make it a bit more better. Accent, I would use this blue from the, well, Fear palette, which is the Kuva Lich bundle. You will need to obtain that if you want it. For the energy colour, I don't know, you look at Zenaku, his eyes are like a yellowy orange colour, so I would recommend using yellow with orange. And the energy, I would recommend blue because according to the design, his energy colour has always been a light blue. For the chest and the armor pieces, I would use Fendar X with the halter leg armor. For the leg armor, Zyrax because it gives him a bit more edginess. For For the ephemera, I would use Konkura. Now this does make him look a bit more fluffy, and of course he's a wolf, so it kind of works. For the Signa, I would use Visor. Now I didn't really use this for the cosmetic of just adding a visor to it. I added it to make it so that I could add a bit more blue around the eyes, because when you look at Zenaku, he's got that. For the Syandana, you want to use the Valesti Syandana because it just looks a bit capey and it's a bit more fluffy, and the colours you can obtain from, well, the original lineup on the main. Now that is my Zenaku, and for the weapon, I would for the weapon, if you want to use that skin, this is the Ezreal skin. You want to be using that to make his sword. Now, moving on to the next two-legger. Next one is a Starfox reference. This character is supposed to be based on the StarWolf member Wolf O'Donnell. Now he is a grey colour with white fur, so you will want to change that accordingly. As per the colours, you want to be using this grey here and repeat it for the secondary. For the tertiary, just use like a slightly faded white, and for the accents, use black. Now he doesn't really have a lot of colour except on the clothing, so save that for the colours. The energies, I would recommend using red on the energies to give him his red eyes, and the energy, purple and red, to give him the colour of his shield. As for the attachments, I would use the Fend RX chest attachment. Now you can probably use something else, but from what I can tell, there are no actual jacket looking attachments. For the shoulders, I used Lamasu, followed by Zyrax leg armor, and the Akuri Prime tail. You will need to color that grey because you can't get black and grey on one color. As per the visor, now the visor is just mostly there to give a bit of a more wolf shape head. It's up to you if you want to change that. I mean, you can't really alter, so it looks pretty cool. As for the colors, you want to be using this primary grey from here, followed by this purple from the Valkyr heirloom. If you do not have the heirloom bundle, now you will need to get another option, which you can probably just get from Eminence or Twilight. As for the accents and the tertiary, use that same grey from the primary, and accents use the gold because he's got gold in places and it looks pretty cool. The emissives, make it white, and then his energy color, make it grey with lighter grey to give the tail that color. For the Syandana, now I just used the aspirant because I thought it looked pretty cool. The colors are pretty much just copied from the attachments, and there you go. That is my Wolf O'Donnell version of Voruna Prime. Okay, moving on to the four-legged variation of Voruna. This is my fashion of the Digimon called Metalgarurumon. Now you might remember this Digimon from the animated series and from the movie involving their fight against Diaboromon. Don't worry, I plan to make a Wargreymon, and I will make an Omnimon, just to reference the Digimon. For this, you will need the generic Prime helmet, followed by the Cuveil Dracanis to give it a bit more of a robotic design. For the colours, I would recommend this blue here, followed by the same on the secondary, and then you want to change the tertiary to like a light blue, so this from Ice works. The accents, you can make just about any red because he's got red claws. I used this red from Light and Shadow. For the colours on the energy, on the emissive, I used basically his eye colour to create the energy. As for the energy colour, I used these blues simply because when you look at Metalgarurumon or any Garurumon line, most of their attacks are the ice element. Moved on to the attachments. Now you want to be using the shoulder guards from the Escartos Keytier lineup, which has passed, so if you don't have those, you will not be able to get them now. You will have to wait until he returns. For the chest plate, use the Fender RX. On the legs, use Protovia leg plate armor, and for the tail, I used the Akuri Prime, but the energy color is black to give off that solid gold tail that the Digimon has. The signal you want to be using is the Flanken. Move it right back to the back and then copy the colors from the main line If you want to change the primary color, now you will probably have to fiddle with it because the Digimon itself has a shiny gold tummy and chest, so you might want to change that. It's up to you. For the tertiary, I use the same blue. The accent, I've changed it to a light yellow color instead of the red, followed by the emissives, red and orange, to give him that explosion sort of style he's known for. For the ephemera, well, for the Syndana, I've used the aspirant Syndana again because it looks like not only a jetpack, but it also looks kind of like a rocket pod of missiles ready to be fired. And you want to be colouring this gold from the Orokin lineup, followed by the colours used in the previous attachments. Now there you go, that is my Metalgarurumon fashion for Voruna Prime when using her four-legged focus build. Now this one's a bit more closer to my namesake really. This is Amaterasu from the game series called Okami. Now it's up to you if you want to use a chest plate sigil. I just wanted to do it because I thought it would look cool. For this, I would recommend the normal helmet for Voruna Prime and the Demiona skin to give it a bit more fur pattern design. For the primary and secondary and tertiary, you want to be using white, followed by the, well, what is it called again? The accents, a slightly dark grey here, well, lightish grey right there. That's what we want to be using. For the energy colour, I would simply recommend a combination of orange and red on both to give her that fiery effect that you can see on the ephemera. As per the attachments, I used the Ace Apex chest plate. Now you can use whatever you like at this point because it's not really necessary. On the arms, to give it look like the shoulders have got a bit more fur to them, I add Lamasu, followed by the Apex Protavia leg armour. For the tail, I used the Okuri Prime tail. Now, because she's got a white tail, you will have to take into account that you can't get, well, if it's too white, it's too bright. So I would recommend it for a little bit more fiery effect. Add orange, then white once you're formed. For the emissives, use a yellow-white to give off a bit more flamey effect. As per the Syndana, now for this I've wanted to reflect the disc that's on her back where her elemental fire is usually out on view. For the primer, so use the Stealth Flare Syndana to give it that effect you can see right here. For the primary, I would use black. You want it to look as dark as possible without losing details. For the secondary and tertiary, use this grey right here, followed by this orange to give the outline the fiery effect. For the emissives, just copy them from the previous build. And that is my fashion of Amaterasu from the game series Okami. Now then, what kind of Monster Hunter fan doesn't fashion a wolf like they should be? This is my fashion of the EbonyOdogaron from the game Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now, to make this, you will need the Prime helmet because, quite frankly, I don't think there's a better option. For the skin, use the Demiona skin. For the Agile, just use Voruna Agile. For the primary colour, I would recommend going over to the Eminence palette and using this purple here, followed by a slightly darker version from the Lotus palette. You will need to buy that as well. For the chest plate, for the body, the tummy, the chest, you will need this grey from Eminence, followed by this red from the Light and Shadow palette. For the colours, now to get the dragon element effect, I always find placing black, then red. You will need the two former if you want to splice the colours. It makes the element look like dragon element. For the attachments, I've used the Nactivire. Now this wasn't really necessary, but I hate to leave the chest plate area completely empty. So I've used the Lamasu on the shoulders to get a bit more armory looking, I suppose. It kind of looks a bit like barbs. For the chest, for the legs, I've used the Zyrax leg armor. And for the ephemera, I've used the Okuri Prime ephemera. Now you will need to change the colors of the energy to reflect the colors of the warframe itself to give off the color that the warframe is covered in. For the Sayandana, I used the Saturn 6. Now this is pretty simple, and that piece right there should be black instead of light purple. There you go. And the colours you can pretty much copy from the original. Now that is my final and third four-legged build main focus Voruna of the EbonyOdogaron. Now then everybody, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed the fashion designs that I've made. Please feel free to replicate and alter if you have a better suggestion, in which case then afterwards leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment in the messages, and I shall see you all in the next video. Peace.